Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Shay Rippinger, your host of the Hoopla of Y'all show. Thank you so much for joining me live or on the recording, whichever way you're doing that. And if you are watching live, great. This is being broadcast live on Facebook and YouTube on my both channels for Hip the Hoopla. So I am Shay Rippinger of Hip the Hoopla. I have been the founder of Hip the Hoopla for the last, I'm going on my 8th year in business now, and all that kind of good stuff. So the Hoop Love Y'all show. We hope you stick around, watch, learn, enjoy. We have humor, health, humor, and hooping. So anyway, we're third show into the year so far. So I'm on show number 53 because the goal last year was getting 50 shows done, and this year is also 50 shows as well. You never know. I may get a few extra in there and even up my best. So tonight's theme, well, actually, this is a flow month, so it is February. I'm going to be doing a flow series. So for the next 4 shows, we'll be doing a flow series. This is inspired by the Fab Over 40 Hoop community on Facebook. Some lovely people in that direction. So I was reading some of the posts there. I finally got a chance to go online and read some things and see some beautiful posts and everything like that. And you do have to be over 40 to get in that group. So actually, we let some people in there a little under that age too, for a few different reasons. But anyway, for the most part, it's a very supportive group. It's one of my favorite Facebook groups besides my very own groups. But I really love the groups. Really love that group on Facebook. Anyway, they're doing a Flow February, and I thought that's just a great idea. So I'm borrowing that idea. I'm running with that flow as well, and also it's my way to participate in that flow challenge. So this is my interpretation of it to do the flow series. So tonight's theme is ebb and flow. So anyway, that's how that came about for the flow series. I looked up the ebb and flow because I was like, how how you have these things in your mind where you think you know what the definition is, except my way of defining things is, could you explain it to like a 4-year-old or fourth grader? In other words, can you explain it in really simple language without using the same words to define it? So that used to be one of my favorite things, when I was younger and before we had Google and all that kind of good stuff, was, go look it up. Especially when you didn't know how to spell it. It's like, well, how do you look it up if you don't know how to spell it? Like now you have the computer, you can throw in almost anything with it and sort of describe it and you get some answers. So anyway, I was looking up ebb and flow because I was thinking of, like when I think of ebb and flow, I think of the tide or, coming and, well, when I looked it up, I found out that coming and going was part of the definition. So, but they were talking about repeatedly increasing and decreasing with a rhythmic pattern of coming and going, decline and regrowth. Now, as you may know, I've moved recently, so an interesting thing about I wouldn't say decline, but decline of one area of my life of just, like organization and finding things, I suppose there's a decline in that. But rather than think of it that way, I think of that regrowth pattern, but, that quiet, you can even think of it like the seasons of the year, how you have your growth and then when things fall off the trees, the leaves fall off the trees, things go into a dormant state or die and then regrow by fertilizing other things so that they regrow next year. So anyway, and it's a yearly growth cycle, right? But it's a cycle, and it's not always up and it's not always down. So there's an interesting thing. I've got to throw in this little story. It's one of my favorite mythological stories of and I've done this as a choreographed dance before with Demeter and Persephone and Hades. So Hades is the god of the underworld. I can't remember if this is Greek or Roman mythology, but anyway, god of the underworld. He basically had a crush on Persephone, who is Demeter's daughter, and so you know, when I say have a crush, he rules the underworld. He can kind of do what he wants. So anyway, he wanted Persephone. So he went and basically, went and took her and stole her and brought her down to Hades with him. And so Demeter, you can kind of think of as like a Mother Nature type of person on the upper, you have your underworld and then your, the above the surface kind of thing, where all the plant life and all that kind of stuff grew. Anyway, Demeter was really dismayed that her daughter had disappeared. So she finally found out where her daughter was. She went down, talked to Hades, and Hades said, "Sure, you can have her back. Here's the deal: as long as she doesn't eat anything, and she can return." But apparently, Persephone had eaten one pomegranate seed. I know this is a weird story, but anyway, one pomegranate seed she ate. And so anyway, the deal was that Hades would have Persephone for half of the year, and Demeter would have her for the other half of the year. So when spring and summer come about, that's when Persephone is up with Demeter on the upper surface of the earth, and then when Hades gets her and Demeter's all depressed because she doesn't have her daughter with her, it's winter. So she goes into fall and winter where things die off, go dormant, and then she gets her back. So that's how the story of how the seasons came about in mythological. So anyway, interesting story to me. It was like one of my favorite stories, and it was a really cool idea for a story for a dance when I choreographed that dance long time ago in college. So anyway. Alrighty, so we do talk about health, humor, and hooping in this show. And I like to throw in it like a little anecdotal story too. So, part of that is the moving and part of that is, the ebb and the flow of, how that comes about. So anyway, one thing that I find this is a little health tip, and that is I've been starting to use, I got this from my husband for Christmas, and I went and re-borrowed it. So, well, I shouldn't say reborrowed it. I'm borrowing it because I have a diffuser, but mine's a lot bigger. It's kind of like in a big shape. It looks like a big pink Hershey's Kiss. But anyway, it's big and it takes up space, and I'm in a very smaller space after having moved and have my office is all of like I can almost reach the walls with both, by just reaching out and touching each one. Like, bam, touching that one. And now I have to like reach over a little bit to touch the other one. And same with that distance as well. Anyway, so small things are really good. Small things that pack a punch. So this one is I just got this from Natural Grocers over the holidays. It's made by Now. I'm not promoting anything in particular, but just the idea of a diffuser, which is you put a little bit of water in there, and this one is an ultrasonic oil diffuser. So you put a few drops of oil in it, a little bit of water, and I do mean a little bit. And a friend of mine had gotten me started on this with the diffuser because it was really cool to, mix your oils. She did it with Young Living Oils, which is a brand of oils that's a multi-level marketing thing, but they make really good oils and very high quality oils and stuff like that. I'm not a representative of them or anything like that, but I have some of them from my mom, and they're exquisite. They're very expensive, and they come in little teeny tiny bottles, but they're pretty darn potent. So anyway, with the diffuser, I can't quite get this on camera. I'll unplug it real quick, and you won't get to see what it does, all the cool stuff, but this is what it looks like. So it's fairly small. It's like the size of my hand right there. I have pretty small hands. So, but the cool thing is it goes on a USB plug. I had originally gotten this from my husband for the car. I don't know what I was thinking with this because it uses water. So, and we live in the mountains, so the roads are like blah, 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 blah. But anyway, you put some water in there, you fill it up to a little fill line. It drips when you open it. But then it basically like steams a little wisp of steam comes out with the oil, whatever you put in there. So tonight, before I unplug that, I had a little mix. This is my favorite little mix going these days, is orange oil and a little bit of peppermint oil. So I take a couple drops of each, I think I did a couple drops of the orange because the orange is pretty potent. But the citrus is nice and bright and is good for enlivening the senses. And peppermint is good as well for that. Peppermint is also relaxing too. So if you want ebb and flow, this is it can be doing both. So I also like to get the oils that I can use in, put a couple of oil drops in tea. So that's another way to get it. So if you don't have a diffuser, just stick a drop or two in a hot cup of tea or a hot cup of water, and just gently, don't put it right up, especially peppermint, because peppermint oil is really intense. So one drop of pure peppermint oil is very intense. You can use that with a little bit of baking soda on your hand, and put that. You do that with your toothbrush and brush your teeth with it. Is great, great natural way to brush your teeth with that. Anyway, so that's my health tip for today, is the oil diffuser. So it's really nice, great for the office space. And like I mentioned, I'm in a fairly small office space. I'm trying to get back to my positive sense of stuff. The move really took a lot of, it took, I was trying to be positive through it, but I wasn't doing my best on it. I'm going to adjust my position here. And also I have the cat box seriously right underneath me here. So having an oil diffuser is very helpful, in addition to cleaning the cat box way more often than I normally did before. It's obviously good for the cat, but it's also good for me now too. And now I will need to do that because my husband's desk is on the other side of this wall at the moment. We have our current mini office setups in our moving process here until we relocate to, or however we're going to set up our offices. You know, the object is to build a dance studio. We'll see how that works, and dance studio, music studio, all that kind of cool stuff. So anyway, up in the mountains of Idaho now. You never know how things will go. Life is interesting with that ebb and flow. Remember, I keep doing that. So you know that there's a little what is it? It's a car commercial. Anyway, there's hamsters and they're moving and grooving, and they're doing this out the window. So I love doing that out the window. So that's my thing for ebb and flow. Anyway, alrighty. So I wanted, on the humor note, besides just being humorous in my presentation, I like to do a little bit of laughter yoga. And I have a little laughter yoga exercises for you tonight, and that is I'm calling it the flower petal wrap breath. So what you're going to do, I encourage you to do it with me. I have a friend of mine who is bedridden, but you can still do this in your brain. So even if you're not physically able to do this, and this one doesn't require a hoop, so don't worry about that. But you can just visualize doing this, or just do the breathing part of the movements and mentally visualize the rest of it. What we're going to do is we're going to take, and we're going to be just wrapping. Inhale, and then a wrap. So you're going to inhale, release the arms forward. So you can wrap the left over to the right side, and so one arm's going to wrap front, and one arm's going to wrap back. And then you're going to take a nice deep breath in. And then petal wrap it over to the other side. Exhale it out. Inhale it in. And exhale it out. I'll do that a couple more times. Inhale it in. And exhale it out. One more time. Inhale it in. And exhale it out. And during that exercise, I would like you to really concentrate on smiling when you do that. So that's part of this laughter yoga. So not every laughter yoga exercise is all about the laughter part of it, but it's about big breathing, getting oxygenation inside the lungs and all that kind of good stuff. So nice big breath. So inhale it in, and then exhale it out. Inhale it in, exhale it out. One more time. Inhale it in, and exhale it out. And I'm also doing it with a little bit of a rise and fall, ebb and flow, if you will, going with the theme of the show. You see how I put that all in there? All right, and then at the end of laughter yoga exercises, we take our hands together nice and wide. We do this twice. We go very good, yay, very good, yay. So that's our little laughter yoga portion of this, and I'm keeping on the time frame. I'm doing so good. Last year, I really wanted to get all the rest of my shows accomplished, so I came up with a better format of trying to get in and out within the 20 minutes. So, Cool, cool, cool. Okay, I have some live viewers joining, and so welcome. Thank you for watching. And you can type in your questions, and I'll hopefully see them on the screen, and I'll answer them within the video. All right, so we covered the health portion, the humor portion. Now we're going to cover the hooping portion. Okay, so with the Ebb and Flow series, with the Ebb and Flow theme, with the February Flow series, we're going to, and whenever you're watching, it's fine. Just tag in. So, all right, so what we're going to do is a float to go with the Ebb and Flow theme. So a float, there's a couple different variations, and this is a great exercise to do with, it will help with all kinds of things. So here's what it looks like. Here's a two-handed float. In and up and down. Down and up, down and down. So, and of course you can go in the other direction too. How am I already busy? I don't know. Anyway, it's a sustained spinning move, which means you are staying in place. Now there was also a really good question in the Fab Over 40 group today about doing footwork for spinning, especially sustained spinning. And my trick was one of my things. You with sustained spinning, part of the trick of it is to stay in the same spot. So with that, when you want to stay in the same spot, you don't need to like just stare at that spot and just do that. Okay? You don't have to do that. You know where the floor is. The floor is not going anywhere. Where you are in space and relative to your position on the floor, that's the important part. So one of the things that you can do is you can take and cross a leg over, twist, and just twist. You're crossing your legs like this, coming up, and then you're just dropping back down like that. So doing a little finger version because you can't quite see my feet in this video. Anyway, so you're going to do that with this. So also with this, you're going to, with the float, the object of the game is to get this in the cylinder format. When I teach this in class, I tell you to think of the old Star Trek version, the Star Trek shows where they're going, so they're here, and then they materialize somewhere else because they go in the tube. So you can't stick a body part outside the tube, otherwise that body part won't come in through with you in space. So you want to take it all the way up, straight down. You also want to be smack dab in the middle of your hoop, okay? So you want to have equal distance, front, side, back. So I'm using a fairly small hoop right now. I encourage you to use a little bit bigger hoop if you can. I'm using a small hoop because I'm in a very small space. So there's only so much room I can do this. But also, when you have a smaller hoop, you're going to have to tuck the elbows really tight when you do this. And this is a two-handed float, which is the easiest to do because you're going to be able to control it. So you're going to have your hand on 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And this is just going to twist around. So it's going to straight up, straight down as you turn. So you can do that. Well, cross the foot over, come up on the toes, cross the feet down the other direction, and come down. It's as simple as that. You can even do this in place as a float, and I like to do this as a warm-up and cool-down exercise. So you can twist to the side, come up, twist down to the side, come down, up, down, up, down. So again, you want to stay in the center of your hoop, and you want this to come straight up, straight down. So all of those keys are very important with a two-handed float. Okay, so that is a float with two hands. Now you can do lots of variations to this, and this can transition, or ebb and flow, into a lot of other moves. So you can do this with releasing a hand. I like taking this and coming in and out of that. Also with this, you want to try and keep this as even as possible. So you don't want this hoop to wobble in space like that. That's a different move. That's a schmear move. You want this to ideally stay as if it's floating. Float, 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 float. Okay? So you can do this as a one-handed move. One hand, I'm going to warn you, it's going to take some work on the wrist and hand. So coming up, coming down. So up, down, up, down. So that's a variation. I'm moving through that one quickly. But I'm just going to show you some variations of the float. So, and also the float is key to doing the vortex. So the vortex is, I'm going to move the chair a little bit and see if I can do this, is you're going up and coming down, coming up, coming down. So you're doing hand pass up at the top. So it's a version of a float, float, float. And it really helps to be able to turn while you're doing the float. It's going to be easier on your hands and easier on the press. You can do it in place like we just did. Like I said, I'm going to throw little variations up with you so that you have things to do with this. So you don't just have a move, but things to do. And then you get to stick in your creativity with this and then add it to your flow and incorporate it in your dance. So floating, floating, floating. Float, float, float. And then I love doing this one, which is a ghosting float isolation. So again, there's lots of different things that you can do with this to transition with a float. So one-handed, two-handed, up to a vortex, and then create other moves with that. Okay, I'm running over my time budget, so I want to thank you so much for watching. I'm popping in and out of this frame. I have two cameras going. One I'm in the frame and one I'm popping out of the frame. Anyway, so thank you so much for watching. I am Shay Rippinger of Hip the Hoopla. Please go to the Hip the Hoopla Facebook page. I'm on Instagram as well. I'm going to try and stick up some more tutorials, do some more, just try and do a little bit more and get back on track this year to, you know, after having done the move of getting back on track and getting some tutorials in. So definitely message me, get some special requests. I can work with you one-on-one. I can work with you online. I've got some really cool things in the works. So give me a call and see if you want to be part of those new people who are going to get the best deals for all the upcoming new stuff. Ooh, I'm so excited. Okay. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. This has been Shay Rippinger of Hip the Hoopla. All right, rock on. Peace out. Bye.